Hey everybody, Scott Wegener here with another episode of the Garrison at Nobleman Square. Today we're talking with micro-budget filmmaker and actor DEWET DU TOIT, who hails from South Africa. His big dream to become the next big screen Tarzan, and he's spending a lot of energy to make it happen. Here's a trailer of his latest short film.
If adventure has a name, it must be Tarzan! There is no savior, no more hope, no more Tarzan. I am Tarzan!
DEWET talked to me via Zoom from his home in South Africa.
You are probably best known as playing Tarzan and looking to become the next Hollywood Tarzan. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's actually my dream, for all these past years to play Tarzan because, since I read about the Tarzan books, I think every child, some point in his life, he came across Tarzan and he starts learning about the character in the movies and Disney. But for me, I started at, age, I think I was 6 years old when I started reading about the comics and the Johnny Weissmuller books and movies and all that. So for me, the passion grew actually way later. I think I was around, I was finishing high school, and I think I was about 22 years old, and I actually got into the Tarzan thing because I like the character so much. What it represents. The physicality, and Tarzan is Tarzan. It's a physical guy in the jungle, and it's nature. And so yeah, I think since then, since I was 22 years old, I started making short films, and along with my twin brother, we did some short films of Tarzan running in the jungle. So at some point, I came across an article on the internet where Hollywood says they're going to make a new Tarzan film and they're looking for an unknown actor. I think Steven Weintraub or someone that's Weintraub was producing, and it was actually this movie that came out in 2016. With David Yates, and they, at the end they picked Alexander Skarsgård. But I haven't, the dream, the Tarzan dream is still growing, and that's something I still want to do. So I'm planning a lot of new Tarzan projects that I want to get off the ground, even this year and early next year.
You're not waiting for Hollywood to come. You're going ahead and making your own Tarzan films.
Yeah, that's right. Because the thing is, I don't want to wait for Hollywood, or since the beginning, people told me that you're gonna have to stand in a line for an audition. Will you be able to do an audition? To me, it's not actually about the audition. I wanted to go out of my own way and make the short films. I really want to show the people or producers or Hollywood that this is me as Tarzan. This is how I look like in the jungle, in a loincloth, on an elephant. So I'm making all these Tarzan short films, obviously with the permission of the Tarzan Foundation, because early on I made contact with the president of the Tarzan Foundation, Jim Solos, and since the beginning, he liked what I did and I liked what they did, and he said, okay, as long as I don't make any money from this from the short films. He gave me permission to make all these Tarzan short films, purely for promotional, it's mostly promotional work and all that. So yeah, I made all the Tarzan short films, and it actually spread worldwide, and people from Japan and Netflix and the BBC in Australia, they all got the attention from this guy who wants to be Tarzan. This is Hollywood's next Tarzan.
How are you getting that popularity communicated to Hollywood?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm actually so far doing it all by myself. I don't have, well, later on I got an agent, but since the beginning of time, when the Tarzan dream started, I did all the promotional and marketing myself. So I just, always looking for ways to market myself as Tarzan. And as soon as, the views on YouTube actually, skyrocket, I got like 40 million views now, and I got 130, almost 140,000 subscribers on YouTube. So I think from there, a lot of journalists and people and producers and actors saw the Tarzan videos, and then the newspapers contact me, and some documentaries in Germany, and a lot of people, they saw me on social media and all over the world about Tarzan. So yeah, so far I just market myself. I make a few Tarzan short films, and just in a way that it would capture a certain unique way of Tarzan, because I don't, not like, but I think we've seen enough of these cartoon Tarzans. We've got all the, the Disney and animation and cartoon, and this comical character that's always making jokes, and it's this funny character. But I wanted to portray a more serious Tarzan character, still staying faithful to the books. But I just wanted to show something, a different side of Tarzan, where he's much more in nature and having, always busy doing things, instead of just, Tarzan walking around and, instead of Tarzan saving people, he's getting saved. So yeah, that's actually the idea.
What is your take on the Jungle Lord? There's everything from the Johnny Weissmuller version, where he is broken, stilted English, barely understands the language, to Lord Greystoke, who's very well educated and cultured, but goes back to the jungle. How do you see Tarzan?
Yeah, that's actually it's a good question, because everybody, I believe, will have his own vision of Tarzan, or have his own perception of Tarzan. But to me, I like all those old movies, because I think we all grew up on the Johnny Weissmuller movies, and I think that the black and white Tarzan movies of Weissmuller, I think it captured the romance of Tarzan. It's like this period in time in Africa, and it had something which the films of today doesn't actually have anymore. It's missing that there's a special ingredient in those films which is not present today. But I like all those movies, and I watch all the films, of Christopher Lambert, Greystoke, and Casper Van Dien, and all those, the newer ones and the older ones. But to me, it's again, the books and the movies is different. There's always these two sides, because the book says this is Tarzan, and the movies in Hollywood is saying this is Tarzan. But it's actually two opposites, because the books describe Tarzan in the early years as this rugged, primal, uneducated, man that's growing up, and it's a quest for self-discovery. Who is he? Who is this man? What is his purpose in life? Why is he different than all the other animals? There's no other human beings. There's no woman. There's no children. Where's the mother? Where's the father? And so to me, I think Tarzan grew into this intellectual person, and he became educated, and he got fluent in all these languages, and he has this know-how of all the cultures and the skills and abilities and the ways, of the world. But I think the way I would portray Tarzan in film or in films is I would show a rugged, primal, gritty, strong man kind of man, Tarzan, who's almost animalistic, much more animal in the early years, but Tarzan got educated later on. So I wouldn't focus so much on the broken English. I think for me, it actually, I think it works, because if I'm talking my fluent English, then I already have this foreign accent. So I think because Tarzan didn't speak English, because you know, for 20 years in the jungle he didn't speak English, so he wouldn't have an English accent or American accent. So I think he's gonna have a broken or a foreign exotic accent, because you know, actually the first language I actually started to learn was French, if you read the books, and then English. So I think to have an authentic accent, language accent, you know, would be a kind of a exotic accent, but then still, you know, I would have him fluent. Tarzan can speak fluent English, but he would have typical, not typical broken English, but because of the exotic and the foreign accent that he would have in the jungle, because you know, it's Tarzan didn't spoke English for 20 years. So I wouldn't say he had a broken English. I would say from the day he started talking, we would sort of have to speak in phrases, almost like Conan or Terminator. It's all those phrases. So I wouldn't make him too educated, like otherwise he's gonna be a normal person. But I would have him more like Conan. You know, it's like this. Here's this jungle man. You know.
I've seen some research that that's coming out of Africa that lowland gorillas may have a language, you know, of you know, grunts and growls and snorts and facial movements and that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
is that something that you have looked into, of whether, as he learns civilized languages, that he already has a language of those who raised him?
Yeah, that's a good point you're actually making. I did some research into, you know, the behavior of animals and humans, and I think Tarzan would also learn and use a lot of those elements that he see in animals, because you know, if you surround yourself for a long time with animals, you pick up, you know, the way animals communicate with each other. There's different ways than people. So yeah, I think like you said, like gorillas, I think Tarzan would also have this style of communication between animals and humans. So I think that's a good way of showing Tarzan, not just when he's interacting with people now. I wouldn't have Tarzan just walk up to somebody and say, hi, shaking my hand, you know, because he's not accustomed to handshakes. So
Right.
I think it would have a much more, you know, a different approach of, you know, when they're greeting people, when you're talking to people. You would also use the animal ways of talking to people, you know, and you know, like eye contact. And I think some of the things I read in the Tarzan book, I think it was in, I think it's the 6th book, The Jungle Tales of Tarzan. I think he was communicating to one of these, I think it was Tika, it was one of the apes, and the ape had a small baby. But when he tried, he came closer to the apes, and I mean, they all knew him, but he just wanted to play with a small monkey. But when he came to the small monkey, and he was, you know, because us humans, we smile, but our smiles is translated to animals as, you know, you're baring your teeth. So that the
Right.
mother ape
Right.
thought he was, you know, he's baring his teeth. He's not, but Tarzan was actually smiling, you know. So then the ape attacked him. So I think Tarzan wouldn't just smile, you know, because like I just said, you know, animals would perceive that as an aggressive behavior. So
Right. Right.
yeah, it's interesting behaviors of animals that I think Tarzan would be aware of.
On something a lot less esoteric and intellectual, where do you fall on the Tarzan yell that Johnny Weissmuller made popular? I mean, almost every film has used that yell, and they even used his voice for that yell. Where do you fall in that? Do you think that that's something that is past its prime, or should keep going as one of the Tarzan traditions?
Yeah, that's something I also ask myself, you know, because but I think the Tarzan yell of Johnny Weissmuller is something that we're not going to get away of, you know, and I think that's something that I still would use, because, like you said, I also used it in my short films, because I think that is something that's so unique. You know, it's like anybody, if you play that sound anywhere in the world,
Yep.
anybody would say that's Tarzan. So I would actually have two different things now. I think I would still incorporate that Tarzan yell in the films, because that's just some Tarzan lore that the whole world knows about. But then also you can maybe, you know, try to evolve or, you know, develop a new yell, but also strong and powerful, you know, because, I mean, the Tarzan yell can actually sound like anything, but you have to find something that's going to differentiate Tarzan from any other character or animal.
Right.
But yeah, I think I would still use the Tarzan yell of Weissmuller because that is so unique, and it's something that stood the test of time for the past 100 years.
Let's talk a little bit about some of your other projects. I was looking on IMDb and it looks like you've been in a few other films, but talk about what else you've got going on. You're a writer, a producer, a director, in addition to being an actor. What are some of these other projects you've been involved in?
Yeah, there's a lot of projects I've been involved in different ways, but I always have a Tarzan project going on somewhere.
Yeah,
So there will
right.
always be Tarzan projects, but excuse me. But yeah, I have a few. Just quickly, I think I have 2 or 3 other Tarzan projects in the pipeline. Also, a Tarzan documentary and a reality show. But the other films I have in mind, like I said, I'm also writing scripts along with my twin brother. So we're developing normal, action films and a heist film, and also kind of a thriller or a horror film. So we are working on this African unique film called Cabin 7, which is more a African themed film of survival, and a group of tourists, got surrounded by lions. So it's more like a lion horror film, but that's something that's still coming soon. And then we have a normal heist action film, so we have a few scripts, that we are working on for the next year at least. And then also, I have a few connections from all over the world, but a lot, some people from the asylum, the Sharknado guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, some of, they're very directors, but some of them came down to Cape Town, South Africa, and they also filmed some of the shark films, like Empire of the Sharks and Planet of the Sharks and Six-Headed Shark Attack. So they have all those movies, independent films that they shoot in Cape Town, and then I always have a small bit part, or I'm helping them behind the scenes, as a on the production team. So there's a few other films that I always try to be involved in, until the Tarzan films come out.
A large part of our audience at Nobleman Square is with independent filmmakers such as yourself, who are working on short films or feature films. And you've been doing this for a long time. What kind of advice would you give to people, independent filmmakers, to be able to further their craft?
Well, something that I picked up along the way is, I didn't, early on when I started a career, I didn't have a mentor or a publicist or a manager or an agent, to guide you through this process, and an acting coach and all that. But I think today, especially today, because everything is online almost, so I think today you can actually educate yourself. It's like Bruce Lee said, self-education. So the thing that I learned was, like we said earlier on before this interview, that I wouldn't wait for an audition, or I wouldn't wait to get an agent or a manager or a publicist to help you, guide you through the career, because then it's going to take forever, or you might not even find one.
Right.
So I would say that the best thing I would do is to always, you can always work on your acting and training, and you can watch tutorials on YouTube, and any possible way that you can find for self-education. But the other thing I would do is which is what I also did with the Tarzan thing, is start making your own films, making your own short films. So just pick up a basic camera and start filming, almost like audition tapes. It's like short show reels. Just film anything where you are acting, or close-ups or wide angles, or where you're doing something, to sell yourself as an actor. So I would say one of the best ways today is get a photo shoot and do show reels, short films, any kind of a short film where you are playing a certain character, or where you're playing a part somewhere. So that's one of the 2 things I would say: get a killer photo shoot and start making short films.
All right. And finally, the big thing coming up here is you're starting a film festival.
Yeah, the film festival is something that I actually had in the back of my mind for a while, but there's always a time and a place for everything, in life. So I just felt that at this moment, because of all the short films we also did, so we we made a short film called Tarzan, Curse of the Mummy, the one that Tarzan goes to Egypt. So that was also a film that we entered in numerous film festivals. And I think what every filmmaker, I believe, experience some point in his life is when he's entering or submitting a film to a festival, then he at some point gets rejected. So you think, now I'm going to win this festival, submit the film, damn, nobody's interested. Submitting this film, nobody. So I think, the Tarzan film we submitted did win a few awards and we got into a few festivals, but I felt, damn, those festivals, I want to make my own festival. So I think the thing is, I have a few festivals in mind, but this first festival is called the Kaiju Film Festival. And Kaiju, as everybody probably knows, is kind of a monster theme, a Japanese genre of monsters and creatures and mutants. So I think for this festival, I just want to give a platform to aspiring filmmakers and independent filmmakers to showcase their short films or feature films or documentaries or trailers. Not only to this genre, it is a genre festival, but I think what is unique about this, it's not just a fantasy or a sci-fi film festival. This is a kaiju film festival, but it's a platform for mythology and mutants and monsters, and I mean, it's actually so wide, the genre of kaiju or monsters and aliens and zombies and sharks and all those kind of fantasy creatures. I think there's huge platform and interest these days for those kind of films, and I think this is something that I wanted to do for some time now. So me and my brother came up with the whole idea and the programming and organizing this festival. So that for this first festival, it's going to be online, but we're actually planning to have an actual venue next year for this festival. And we will see where we're going to take this. Maybe somewhere in Los Angeles, downtown LA. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, and I don't know in South Africa if you guys celebrate Halloween, but that's the season right now in America of Halloween is coming up at the end of October, which is exactly in line with your film festival entries.
Yeah.
And everybody is very excited about horror movies, monster movies, anything that'll scare them. Everybody's going nuts over here about that. Was that part of your planning? Is that, and do you celebrate Halloween in South Africa?
Yeah, I think in South Africa we don't actually celebrate Halloween. I think that's something that's not yet something that people celebrate. But I mean, me, I like something about Halloween because I think that's one of the reasons that I plan to have this festival happening during Halloween, and also maybe Day of the Dead, the Dia de los Muertos festival. So I think because I think the Kaiju festival is the perfect genre for Halloween, because just like you said, everybody's mind and focus is now monsters and aliens and zombies. It's just Halloween. So that's why I plan to exactly have this festival playing on, this Halloween themed, and people's minds is now Halloween. And this is something that I want to, celebrate one time in America, because in South Africa we don't actually celebrate Halloween, but to me it's actually it's an interesting time, because it's trick or treat. But I think it's a perfect timing for anything monster, anything mutant. It's kaiju, it's Godzilla, it's King Kong. It all fits in with the theme.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck with that, with the festival, with all of your projects, and if people want to see your work as Tarzan, what should they do? And if people want to enter in the Kaiju Festival, how should they do that?
Okay, well, all my Tarzan films, all the work I've ever done is on YouTube under my name, DEWET DU TOIT. Or you can just Google, Hollywood's Next Tarzan or South African Tarzan or the real Tarzan of Africa. But I do have a website, it's Tarzana Interactive. That is the website. But otherwise, you'll find anything of me under the name DEWET DU TOIT Tarzan, for that matter. And then yeah, for the festival, it's Kaiju, so Kaiju Film Festival. So anybody who wants to submit can just go to Film Freeway, and you can just enter Kaiju Film Festival. The website is Kaiju. Then we have a Facebook page for Kaiju Film Festival. So anybody who wants to submit can just go to Film Freeway on the Kaiju Film Festival. We have nice rewards. We have trophies for everyone. We have also a special guest, Donnelly Icing. She's a very famous actress, all the way from Blade Runner 82, Harrison Ford, Ridley Scott, and yeah, and so much more.
Congratulations on all the successes you've had and on your future successes, of course.
Yeah, thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the interview, and happy Halloween to everyone outside, and hopefully, Tarzan will return.
We'll count on it. All right. Take care now. Thanks so much, DeWitt.
Thanks for joining us. If you're watching from Nobleman Square, be sure to check out our digital horror magazine, made expressly for Midwest filmmakers who have a passion for the horror genre. In it, we've got an interview with Doug Jones. He's the star of Star Trek Discovery and the creature in the shape of water. He's actually from Indianapolis, Indiana, taking a break from shooting Star Trek. Also, if you're watching from YouTube, hit my subscribe button and check out some of my other videos catering to the micro-budget and zero-budget filmmaker. Until next time, stay focused and keep your batteries charged.